Okay. All right, so she's the Chief Executive Officer and co-founder of Sway, which we will find out in a while what that is. She's a former senior software engineer at LinkedIn, but most importantly, she's a Jamaican, here to speak about women in technology, Camila Taylor. And her first name means the perfect one. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to Smile Jamaica.
Thank you.
You know how I knew that?
Yeah.
Because my daughter is Camila, spelled the same way.
Apparently you and my parents have the same taste.
Yeah. Are you perfect?
I don't think anyone's perfect.
Okay.
You can strive for perfection, maybe.
Great to meet you.
Thank you.
You live in San Francisco.
I do.
You've co-authored a book.
Yeah.
You were named in 2018 Essence, the magazine, 10 Black Women Rocking the Tech World. So congrats on that.
Thank you.
In 2017, 43 Most Powerful Women in Tech. Congrats on that.
Okay, thank you.
And you're beside the dumbest man in the world, so you need to...
I don't believe that.
Before the interview finishes, say, oh, I agree.
Okay.
Where did this start? Where did this tech stuff start?
Let's see. So, like I was saying earlier, my dad is actually a computer science professor at UWI, Ashley Taylor. And both of my parents, you know, my mom and my dad, they both encouraged me to like explore things when I was younger. And so at some point I said, okay, I think I want to be like a singer or I want to go to space. Like those were my two options. And I think it was my mom who said, well, if you want to go to space, you need to study your math and science. And I thought about it. I was like, well, I like math, I like science. And so that's how I started, you know, really focusing on like the STEM subjects. And then I actually got this robotics kit, a Lego Mindstorms robotics kit in high school. And I think that's actually really what got me hooked because I love that I could write some code and then see like the robot move like in response to what I did.
What high school was this?
So I moved around a lot. I went to Mona Prep and then I ended up moving to Atlanta and did middle school and high school there. So that was in high school in the US. And then I moved back to Jamaica and I did 1 year at Campion, sixth form. And then went to UWI for undergrad.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a lot of moving.
Well, not necessarily the moving, just what you do. What's Sway?
So Sway is an app to facilitate thoughtful conversation online.
What does that mean?
Well, you know, I don't know. You said you don't use social media a lot, which means I think you are smarter than the rest of us. But,
I don't think.
For a lot of us who have been using social media, we've seen, you know, a lot of the repercussions of talking online. And you see, like, the election in the U.S. in 2016, Brexit, right? Yep. There's a lot of negative side effects, you know, a lot of polarization, increased polarization that's happened, et cetera. And so after the election, you know, I really had a deep look inside. I said, you know, I've noticed all year that something was going wrong online. What could I have done with my own skill set to help fix it? And so I started talking to some friends, and a friend suggested this notion of what if you really try to weave in thoughtfulness, you know, right? Things that we say we take for granted when we're talking to people in person, we forget all of that online, right? And people say things that they would never do. And so what if we try to weave that in and reward people for participating thoughtfully?
Okay, there you go. How long has it been up?
So we opened the private beta this year. So it's really still like early days. And then we recently did our first university visit to University of Michigan. Yeah. Where we're really trying to take it to like the students, the college students.
So what exactly do you do? What exactly do you do?
What exactly?
You were telling me before that you write codes.
Yeah.
What does that mean? But tell me exactly what you do.
Yeah, so for any of us, so my specialty here is mobile apps. So if anyone has ever used, for instance, like the LinkedIn app on your iPhone, you've used something that I helped to build, right?
You built it.
Yeah, I worked at LinkedIn for 5.5 years, and so there are lots of things in there, and also LinkedIn Learning. That's also an app from LinkedIn.
So you kind of tell the computer what to do.
Yeah, I tell the computer what to do, and then an app comes out of that, basically. And you work with a team, right? And so you work with like designers, et cetera, product managers, and it's a very collaborative process where everybody kind of figures out what they want the app to do, what they want it to look like, what's the best experience for the users, and then at the end of the day, we as engineers, we translate that. We write the code to get the computer to produce that. And then
you write the code.
We write the code.
To get the computer to produce that.
Yeah.
So you're easily the brightest woman in the whole world.
Yeah,
that was the question. I was telling you that. What's next for you?
So continuing working on Sway, and then I've also been, consulting and helping out other startups this year. So I'm working with this AR and augmented reality startup where you can play games with other people and interact with things that look like they're physically in the world, but they don't exist. So
augmented reality.
Augmented reality. So
you lost me from you said good morning. You lost me. No. Fantastic. It was great to meet you.
Oh, great to meet you.
So you're obviously a brilliant woman, and it's fantastic. Apart from the fact that you're Jamaican, you're a brilliant woman. Fantastic to meet you.
Okay.
And maybe you'll get me in going on the social media. Let me show you something. No, I won't use Sway. What's this? Explain. This is Rihanna, but
that
this
is
Camila
Rihanna
Taylor over there.
Yeah.
What's that?
So that's a feature. So Mag Moda is a Caribbean magazine. They actually recently had the Moda Market here.
Yep.
And so they produce an annual magazine, and they reached out to me. They were doing a feature on fierce Caribbean women, and so they asked if I would be part of the issue.
I suspect the highlight is that you're on the other side of...
That's what I say.
That's not what I say. You deserve it. And you're a co-author of this, Women in Tech.
Yes.
Yeah?
And that's a book around, it mixes personal stories. So in it, I talk about my own story through tech, how I got started. And it's the mix of that and, very practical advice on how to get started in tech, from the schooling, etc. Yeah.
And this one would be where you were named top 10.
Yes.
It's amazing. It's amazing. No, man, I'm not liking you too much because I can't do anything. No, I'm not
I don't believe it, Neville.
No. You're
selling yourself short.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
Great to meet you.
Great to meet you.
Fantastic that you're here. When do you go back home?
Tomorrow, actually.
San Francisco.
Yes.
All right. Be safe.
All right. Thank you.
Chief Executive Officer and co-founder of Sway, and the perfect one.
Okay.
Taylor.